I did quick makeup test just to see, you know, if this is what I want and if I like it. It's okay. I actually think it should be more dramatic. So, I wanted to go, you know, glam for more Harley Quinn, but not the two-tone like she has in Suicide Squad. So this is all, you know, same stuff on both eyes. I don't know if you can, how well you can see that or not, but I actually think it should be more dramatic. So while I'm out running those other errands, still gotta find those stencils. I'm gonna go to Ulta and see, because I just use a neutral base, and I think maybe like one of the NYX, like the crayons, using that as a base will help make the color be more intense. So, but for first try, not bad, I think. So, I think this is as dramatic as this is. I think it's wearable, you know, for every day. As dramatic and crazy as it is. But for cosplay, not so much. It needs to be more dramatic. You kind of have to treat cosplay makeup kind of like you do theater makeup, with the 10-foot rule. It's got to look good 10 feet away. And really it also needs to be over the top if you're planning on having photos taken, because stuff gets dulled in the camera. Even without a flash, you know, everything can get a little dulled in the camera because this camera just cannot pick up the same things, the same nuances as the naked eye. So you really have to amp it up for photos. So, but attempt to number 1, not bad, could be better. So we'll see what we can find at Ulta, and then maybe we'll try attempt to number 2 tomorrow, because I don't want to go home and wash my face and try it again, because I've got sensitive skin and if I wash it and rub on it too much, I don't want to make my skin angry with 2 weeks to go, because it may not bounce back, but we'll see. Alrighty, so good makeup test number 2. I like this way better. My lip color is worn off a little bit because I had lunch, although it's held up pretty well, all things considering. It's not completely gone, which is good. But I did pretty much the same. I used the same products as I did in the first makeup test, but I did get one of the NYX crayons in Cobalt, and put that on top of just my, you know, flesh tone base, before I put the blue eyeshadow on top of it, and I think that made a ton of difference on how vibrant it came out. So I like this much. I started to work on the baseball bat, which I lightly sanded with like 220 grit sandpaper just to rough it up a little, just to make things easier to stick to it. And I need to do the lettering, the big lettering, down the front, but I can't find my stencils. I bought stencils like months ago and stuck them someplace, and the only thing I can think of is maybe they're in the bag that I used for all my sewing machine accessories, which is over at my mom's. So I'm gonna run over there and see if it is there. Hopefully it is, because if it's not, I have no idea where it is, because I've gone through all my cosplay stuff and there's no sign. But I need to do the big lettering first and then work around that. And I also need to see, Chauncey thinks he's got some spray adhesive, so I need to see if I can find that, so that, because I want to use a strong adhesive to put these on first. I'm going to put Rainbow Dash's cutie mark on the end. I thought that would be kind of fun. And then I'm going to put the essentially the cutie marker logo for the Wonderbolts on the bat itself on the opposite side of the lettering, kind of like, you know how baseball bats still have like the logo or name or whatever for the manufacturer. I'm going to put the Wonderbolts logo on there as well, but I need to do the lettering first, which Harley Quinn, obviously hers says good night. With this being Rainbow Dash, it's going to say friendship instead. But that's going to take up a good chunk of the bat, so I need to make sure that I do that first and then work around the spacing around that. And then I've got a bunch of quotes from Rainbow Dash that I'm going to do all over the place. And I've got the athletic tape to wrap around the thing. And then I also have some rainbow striped ribbon that I may do around the handle as well, and I would need the adhesive for that. And then I'm going to Mod Podge the entire thing to help seal the cutie marks and the lettering so that it doesn't rub off. And the Mod Podge, I got had glitter in it. So, makes it a bit more Harley Quinn with the glitter, shiny, you know. She loves sparkly things. So, there's that. So, hopefully I will get this done. Hopefully today, if I can find the stencils. Good news, I found my stencils. That's good. So, we're off the bat. And did the main stencil. And then I've got the Wonderbolts there. And the cutie mark there. So I need to let that dry. As you can see, it's got glue on it and it's sticky. So I'm going to set that there. Let that dry. The bat I finished last night. I was watching Captain America Civil War on Netflix. Funnily enough, decorating a bat called Friendship. About the friendship ending with the Marvel characters, but yeah, it turned out really, really well. I love it, and I don't know if the sparkle's really coming off that well. Here, let me go out into the sunlight. I don't know if that's making a difference or not, but it's got this really nice rainbow glittery effect. So this is Friendship, and it's got Rainbow Dash, and then the Wonderbolts is there, her cutie mark's there, of course 20% cooler, just a few quotes from Rainbow from the show there, and of course I wrapped it. I may still do the ribbon, rainbow colored ribbon. I need to find a different adhesive than what I used for the paper, because it worked for the paper well enough, but it was kind of gunky, but that got covered by the glitter. That would be a little harder to cover with on here. So I don't know if I'll try hot glue or something. We'll see. I may just leave it for now and then maybe add to it later. And then this is what I just finished. So I have this t-shirt that I did a gradient dip dye. I found a tutorial on YouTube. I'll put a link to that in the description box on how to do this. But I'm going to let it dry at least for several hours. It should stay dry. It's not supposed to rain or anything, so we got a nice breeze, so that'll help. So I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'll have to rinse it out, and then probably wash it and run it through the dryer to help set it, and then I'm gonna do the lettering for the shirt. So, because I've done 2 shirts already with paint. I painted it instead of dyeing it. And the first time it ended up shrinking the shirt so much that I really couldn't get it on. Oops. It was kind of a snug shirt to begin with. And then the second time, I used an oversized tank top, and it turned out alright, but it wasn't what I was looking for. So this time, yeah, it definitely should be the nice vibrant color that I'm looking for. And then I've got the lettering, but instead of Daddy's Little Monster, it'll say Luna's Little Monster. So that should be fun. Alright, we're back over at my mom's. It is Tuesday. PopCon starts next Friday. Oh my. So, we'll get started here once she gets home from work. She needed me to take care of the dogs. But here, let me show you where we are. So there's the jacket. Oh, it's almost done. The only thing we have to do is secure that, the bottom band. So I gotta sew that, and do the applique on the back, which I've got the pieces right here. So, and that's just there's 2 pieces of that. It's kind of iridescent rainbowy fabric. So and I've got really cool thread to sew that on. So there's that. It's gonna look really, really, really cool. So I've taken a lot of artistic license, interpretation license with this design, which it was based on a piece of fan art anyway. It was an original design that someone had commissioned this artist for, and in the process of her sharing the progress of making it, so many people were like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing! I want to cosplay this. You know, is it okay to cosplay this?" And she's all like, "Well, I guess technically, yeah, you do." But then the person who commissioned it was like, "Oh yeah, you know, if someone wants to cosplay it, go ahead." And like, hopefully my friend that I commissioned this for will be the first person to cosplay it, which, considering I found this like over a year ago, it probably has happened since then. I haven't seen any pictures. But yeah, so I'm taking some licenses with the design just based on my skill level and what I'm actually comfortable wearing as far as cosplay is concerned. But the jacket, that's pretty spot on. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, I think, for the most part. The pattern is somewhere here. It is this pattern right here. It's McCall's pattern, which my mom is not too fond of. Not too fond of. I was trying to say she's not a fan or she's not fond, and I put it together to fan. Oh. Yeah, so this is the pattern. We're not really we didn't deviate from the pattern really any, just the applique, and this bit is custom as well, but everything else, obviously the fabric is not really what it's intended for. This is really intended for something heavier, but I have to be difficult, and every time I've used a pattern it's always with the fabric it's not intended for. But yeah, so got the zipper on here. It's got pockets. One of my requirements for most of my cosplays is there has to be pockets of some sort, preferably, or I can carry a bag and not have it be awkward. So once we finish the lower band, construction-wise, it's actually done, and then the applique will go on the back. That'll be Rainbow Dash's wings on the back, and then this right here is athletic, like stretch knit, and we're going to be making those leggings. Probably won't get to this tonight, but hopefully tomorrow we can knock these out. And then actually that's it construction wise for actual sewing. I've got the shirt that I did the dye job with the Rit dye. I let it dry and then I rinsed it out in the sink as best as I could. And now I've got it in my mom's washing machine on a rinse cycle to hopefully rinse any last dye residue out. And then I'll throw it in the dryer and that should set the color for that. And then I can do the lettering and distressing of that. And then clothing wise, I'm done for the costume. And then all I have left is the damn wig. So close. So close to being done. Guys, we're so close to being done with all the sewing. Jacket, we finished yesterday. So, and it came out so good. I did all the applique. It was on my machine, but I did the applique with minimal input from my mom. Oh my god. Metallic thread sucks. Once we figured it out, like the right settings and everything on the machine, it definitely went smoother, but there was a learning curve there and it was kind of steep. But it came out exactly how I envisioned it, so it was kind of worth rethreading the machine about 20 times because the thread kept breaking or bundling up. Oh, but so yeah, it's done. So now we're on to the pants, which they're almost done actually too. So I've been base stitching everything, and then Mom's been putting the actual seams in with her serger. So they'll be nice, solid seams. So this shouldn't fall apart or anything and make my butt show to everyone. That would be really bad. So now I've got to sew. I got to baste up both sides, and then she'll do the serge, and then we got to put the waistband on and hem the legs, and then they're done. And then that's it for all the major sewing. All that's left is the wig. Woo, hair, woo. Okay, is something very scary because I've never done this before. And I'm really afraid to screwing this up. But if I want the desired effect, I'm going to have to do it. So, I am going to attempt to dye a wig. Now, granted, I'm not dyeing the entire thing. I'm just doing pieces. But still, it's kind of scary, especially considering this was not a cheap wig. This is an Arta wig. This is the Buttercup, I think, in Fairy Blonde. I believe that's right. If I'm wrong, I'll put a thing right here with the proper name, but I'm pretty sure that's it. And what I was going to do was I was going to put the colored clip-in extensions, because then I was like, I don't have to dye anything. And then I could take the extensions out and use the wig for something else if I wanted to. And then when I put the extensions in, I realized, one, I still have them in on this side. It doesn't look very good, for one thing. Two, this wig's kind of heavy, even without the clip-in extensions. And then when you add 5 on each side, so 10 extensions, it makes this wig even heavier. And I'm not willing to suffer that much. You know, I've got back and neck problems, so any weight that I can not have on my head, the better. So, yeah. So, here is what I am doing. I have got Sharpies and some rubbing alcohol. got, y'all. This is 91% alcohol. Supposedly 70% will work. But 91 I already had on hand. So we'll see. Yeah. So what you're supposed to do is crack open the Sharpies. And then I've got individual cups. And you're supposed to take the ink cartridge and essentially drown it in alcohol, and then that becomes your dye. And then you can spray it, or you can use a paintbrush. In my case, I'm actually going to, what I'm starting to do is break this into pieces, 6 pieces, and I'll tie them off. And then I'm just going to stick it in the cup and let it soak. Because from what I've seen, the dye will travel as it gets soaked into the fibers. So I'm hoping with doing the soaking method, that'll get all of the fibers, but then also maybe give it a nice little gradient effect, so it'll be really, really vibrant at the tips and then kind of fade as you move up. So yeah, I'm going to tie this off, and then I need to figure out how to get the Sharpie markers open, actually, because I don't have any pliers. I thought we had some pliers, but I think Chauncey's got them in his workshop, which is in the garage, and he has the garage opener, and I kind of want to get this started. So I'm going to try some scissors and see if that does it, and then we'll check back. Well, I tried it with the scissors. It ain't working. So I'm kind of stuck until Chauncey comes home and I can get in the garage and get a proper pair of pliers. This is where I'm at. At least I got all the hair separated into the sections, and I kind of color coordinated with the hair ties. I don't have any red hair ties, so, but essentially the hair ties match the color that will go with each section. So red, orange, yellow. This is supposed to be green, but I only had one proper green, so that one's teal, blue, and purple. Same for the other side. I was all like, I'm gonna do this thing, and then not having the proper equipment kind of put big old brakes on it. Womp womp. And I have another thing that I could do, but again, I need something that's in the garage. Yeah. So we'll try again tomorrow. 7 a.m. So this has been soaking for about 9 hours. And from what I can tell, it worked. So now I've got to pull these out, and I've got new cups. I'm going to transfer them too, because otherwise it's going to be soaking wet. I don't want it dripping all over the place. So I'm going to transfer them into new cups so that I can turn the wig around or move the cups with the dye to the other side so I can do the other side, and then I'll let that soak for about the same amount of time. And then I'll have to let that side dry, and then once the whole thing's dry, then I can rinse it, and then we can go from there. So still got a ways to go. Oh, it is very early, and it smells like rubbing alcohol. Even with my allergies and stuff, it does. It smells like rubbing alcohol. It's quite aromatic. Okay, got them all transferred over, so now you can kind of see. It turned out alright. I may have to go back and do some touch-ups. I'm not really happy with the red. The red and the orange came out kind of very similar, at least on the hair. I mean, you can tell which one's which in the cups. That's obviously orange. That's supposed to be the red. And it did travel up the hair like I thought it was going to, but it gets a little splotchy after a certain ways up, so I may have to go back in and with a paintbrush or something and try and fill some of that in. We'll see. You know, it's an experiment. Alright. Got the other side going. So now I gotta get ready for work, and we'll see what it looks like when I get home. Oh, it smells. It really smells. We'll see. Yeah.
This
So I'm gonna unpin this from the foam head. Oh my, still smells like alcohol over here. I'm gonna rinse this out and see how it looks first before I dispose of the cups with the color in it, just in case. And then I need to see if I can try and fix that right there where I accidentally cross colors. I'll throw on some gloves first. Okay, so here's where we are. So I rinsed her under the cold water. That was the easiest location, was in the bathtub. So I rinsed her as best I could until the water was running pretty clear, for the most part. And so popped it back on the head and kind of propped it up here in the bathtub to let it drip. And I'm going to let it dry overnight and then see how it looks. See if it's still rubbing off or not. I'll probably have to rinse it again. I'll probably have to rinse it a few times. From what I've read, it can be anywhere of up to 6 times. And even then, it may never stop bleeding. And if that's the case, then I'm going to have to do the sealing, attempt to do the sealing with the pledge floor stuff. And that's supposed to seal it from any color rubbing off. So it's probably going to be a combination of that, rinsing, and finding hairstyle. I haven't quite decided what I would do as far as styling the actual hair. and finding a style that's maybe not touching any of the clothing it's up. So we'll see. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. Oh, I look like a mess again. Ignore this. Okay, here is where we are in everything. So I let the wig sit and dry overnight, and then I checked it earlier, and there were the ink was still kind of rubbing off on my fingers, although nearly as bad as it was. So I rinsed it again, and now she's sitting back where she was. And you can kind of see where it was dripping, and see it's still colored. So I don't know how many times I'm gonna fight this to rinse it out before I move on, because I'm running out of time. Yeah, I'll let that sit and do this, sitting, drying, whatever, and then I may rinse it again one more time, and then we'll see about doing the sealing bit. So I try to do another rinse on the wig, because I just did a touch test and I got ink all over my fingers. So, I mean, I do have to kind of rub, but, you know. Rinse number 3. rinse and repeat has been like. I'm gonna rinse it a few more times, then I'll pop it back on the head, and then pop the whole getup back in the tub and let her dry for a few more hours, and then we'll go from there. Better. So what have I been doing? I rinsed the wig again. It's still running. I rinse it and the water's turning red, but when I do the touch test to see if it comes off, the red doesn't really come off. It's not anymore, but the blue and the purple are still rubbing off, but it's not coming off in the water, so I don't quite get that at all. So I think, is Zordon? Yes, Zordon. Or Alpha. It's my text tone. So I think this is probably the last rinse that I just did. I rinsed it, let the tub drain, rinsed it again. It was still turning red. So I think I'm gonna do the pledge thing once this dries. It'll probably have to be tomorrow because I'm probably gonna be sewing the rest of the day. So after I get off work, I think I'm gonna try that. I will try like a spot on the underside that's kind of inconspicuous first and see how that does. And if it doesn't seem like it's gonna completely destroy the wig, then we'll do the entire thing. Thankfully, I don't have to do the actual entire wig. I just need to do where I put dye. Which is still quite a bit. It's pretty much half the wig down. And then I found a couple of hair tutorials that I think I can adapt for the wig that are hairstyles that will, one, work for the character, and two, help keep the hair away from, at the very least, although my skin's not really what I'm concerned about. It could rub off my skin. I could get that off. I really don't want it rubbing off on the costume because I'm building this costume from scratch. I'm putting hours and hours and hours of sewing into this, and I do not want to get it ruined because of this damn wig. So hopefully between the pledge technique, if that works, and the style, hopefully that will keep the rubbing off to a bare minimum. So that's where we're with that. All right, taking advantage of the holiday. It's July 4th and having the day off work, so I'm going to finally get to attempting to do the sealing on this wig. So I've got all my materials, paper towel, water because it's hot out here, a plastic comb with some tough, you know, stiff, hard teeth, the Pledge Floor Care, a couple different brushes. I got a spongy one and then kind of an artist one. We'll see which one paints, I guess, better. And of course the wig and the instructions, which I will put in the description. Oh, and some gloves. And I put out a plastic cloth just so if it does get as messy as it claims to be, hopefully I can keep it contained, and then I can just bundle up the plastic cloth and toss it when I'm done. This is just a painter's like drop cloth I bought at Home Depot for like $2. So yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to find kind of an inconspicuous spot that's like not right on top and try it first and see what happens. So maybe I'll go like one of these lower layers. And I did do a touch test, and even though this has been sitting and drying for over a week, I'm still getting color rub off on my skin. So hopefully this works. So yeah, I'll take like this section here and see, it's rubbing off. Which is why I'm gonna put on the gloves. That, and I just don't want to get floor stuff all over my fingers either. So as the wind blows, and we'll give it a shot, see what happens. Cross your fingers this works. So I did this small section. I just coated the entire thing with the Pledge and then let it dry till it got a little tacky, and then combed through it with my fingers and my brush losing the occasional fiber, but that's okay. And then I did the rub test between some fingers, and it's not coming off. So by Jove, I think we might have done it. I still have to kind of, once I do the entire thing, I guess you're supposed to flat iron it, which really I don't know. I don't think it, from what I understand, it doesn't necessarily do anything as far as sealing. I think it's more to it's gonna cause the hair to get a bit wavy, and that just kind of helps flatten it out. But it seems to be working. It doesn't seem to be affecting like the color or anything, so I'm gonna do this thing, I guess. That's what two big sections look like after they've been coated and then had the excess wax patted off. As you can see, I'm getting myself wet, but that's okay. These are just gonna go straight in the wash. So I'm gonna keep going and then brush everything out and or start combing everything out, and we'll see how it looks, I guess. Okay, so I've essentially done one half. And it seems to be okay. I'm still getting fallout, but that's bound to happen. The color is a little more dulled, I think, just because more excess came off when I was patting off the excess pledge. As you can see in paper towels, there was a lot of bleed there. But that's kind of good in a way, just because if it's coming off on the paper towel, it means it's not going to be coming off on me, which is always a good thing. And I'm okay with actually the color being kind of dulled, because I really didn't necessarily want this to be like boom rainbow in your face. I really wanted it to be subtle, so a bit more dulling of the colors is not really hurting my feelings any. I will say in the steps the person I found this tutorial from did say as you were brushing it out that the pledge would come off kind of in dried chunks, almost a dust. I'm not getting that, and I don't know if that's just because it's not dried completely yet, which is possibly the case because it's still damp. But I've brushed it out or combed it out as best I can for now, and I'm gonna let that dry and then do the other half, and then we may repeat the entire thing again just to be safe. And then I have to let the whole thing dry completely, like actually dry, and then I need to flat iron it to kind of get the straight texture back, because it is a little clumpy, it is a little kinky, and even though I'm going to be styling this, I'm going to try to braid it. It'll be easier to braid if it's not clumpy and kind of textured, so we'll keep at it, I guess. Okay, so coated everything, brushed it out, but I think I still need to let it dry before I can brush it some more, and then see where we're at. But the humidity outside I don't think was doing me any favors as far as drying time, so brought her in, stick her back in her throne in the tub, but I'll let it dry for, I don't know, however long it needs to take, maybe an hour-ish. I got other things I can work on. And then I'll take it back outside and brush it some more and then see what we've got. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. I'm pretty much ready. She's pretty much done. So, finished the wig yesterday. I think it turned out really, really well. The sealing worked to a point. It's still bleeding, but I think I'll be okay with the way it's styled, and everything. I think I'll be okay. My hands were just like almost black because there was so much rub off still for me after braiding everything. So the blue is just stubborn. Like, I'm not having any problems with the red or the purple or the orange. It's just that blue just rubbing and rubbing and rubbing and rubbing. It's just not wanting to stop. So, but yeah, so that's the hairstyle I went with. It took several attempts with several different other styles before I found one where the hair would kind of cooperate. It's not perfect by any means, especially in the back. Unfortunately, this wig is not intended to be parted down the back. You know, it's not a chibi type wig or anything like that. So you can see the skin cap underneath, unfortunately. But it is what it is. If it was a darker wig, it'd be easier to hide. But there's not really a whole lot I can do, unfortunately. So, but, yeah, most people aren't really going to be looking at me staring at the back of my head anyway, so we'll see. Plus, I have the hat. So, this is a hat that I bought and, like, wore, like, twice, and I'm not really a hat person, so I didn't pay that much for it either, so I wasn't that distraught and attempting to do something with it, and if I destroyed it, oh well. But, so, I have this, where is it? Here. Got this from Joann's. It is the T-Juice Fine Point Fabric Art Marker. So, yeah. This is better than Sharpie. And they have this in different size tips. I just got the fine point just because I know I was going to do stuff like this. But, you know, put like, you know, H-dash on the back, and then put the glitter Mod Podge on top, and then 20% cooler, the cutie mark, and then more glitter. So, but this has got to dry. It's getting there. It's getting there. It's still tacky in a lot of spots. It's gonna discolor the hat, unfortunately. It's this faux like suede material. So it's gonna stay that darker pink compared to the rest of it, but that's okay. I think it's kind of cool. So, but that should fit on there because this is like it's a good size hat. Of course, it's adjustable, and that'll also help cover up some of the messiness that is back here. Plus, you know, I got the baseball hat, baseball bat. Have this whole athletic type look going. So, I think for the most part I'm done. And then I'm going to do a complete try on. And then have Chauncey take some pictures for me. Just on like my phone. Just so I can see how the whole... I'm not going to do the makeup. But I'll put on the wig and put on all the garments and everything and see how... if it goes together the same way it's looking in my head. But you guys are not going to see the whole kit and caboodle until Saturday. I'm sorry.